So putting this presentation together was actually incredibly easy because all I did was take the presentation that I did about 2 years ago announcing our partnership with Lewis Tyson and Tyson Accounting. And I basically just put Justin and his firm into the slides, right? So the arrangement that we have in place with Justin Tapp of Tapp Law is nearly identical to what we're doing with Tyson Accounting. And the benefits that I think our clients have received by having a partnership between the tax preparation firm and now the estate planning firm and the financial advisor, and there's even cross-pollination between the tax preparer and the estate planner, has been incredible. And it's always kind of been a dream, and I'm going to unpack that here in a second. Slight differences. Here's our compliance slide. Read every last word of that. So I'm in the good graces of all the compliance lawyers and nerds out there. Sorry, Justin, I got like a bag of lawyer jokes, and you get to hear every single one of them. I'm sure you've heard a few good ones too.
Yeah, I got a couple too.
Okay, good. So here's our compliance slide. Just like we did with Lewis. Why are we doing this? Who's Justin? What exactly are we even unpacking here, and how do you get engaged with it? We're going to cover all of those things on today's presentation. But like I said earlier, my dream has always been to create what's called a family office, but a family office for the mass affluent. I'm of the thought that the financial services industry, which includes taxes, estate planning, investment management, I think it's broken. It's broken. You have a financial advisor who's in a strip mall. You have an accountant on the other side of town. The accountant doesn't know the financial advisor on a first name basis. They don't communicate. There's no active communication occurring. So they're basically operating on islands. They're in silos. And then you have an estate planning attorney, which many people, for better or for worse, Justin, people don't like talking to lawyers. They think they're going to get ripped off. They think that it's going to be an expensive endeavor. And so you now have an estate planning attorney who's on another island. And none of these people make jazz together. So in a previous life, I worked at a firm where you had to have $20 million to invest with the firm. And not many people had 21. Many of these people had hundreds of millions of dollars. And it's a surreal moment when, you're the son of a clown and you're offering advice to people who have hundreds of millions of dollars. But the reason the advice was so elevated for these individuals was very simple. Because when these people sat down at a conference table, they had their investment advisors, they had their tax attorneys and tax professionals, they had their legal guidance and their estate planners, all there. And all of those people gathered around that table with one single objection: not to sell the person something, not to create billable hours and create fees. It was to make that person's life better, financially, legally, from a tax perspective. And my dream, my goal has always been to create that very same environment, but create that environment for people like my mom and dad. I just took a dig at my mom being a clown. She worked just as hard as a lot of the people that I helped at that hedge fund, right? Most of the people I helped at that hedge fund inherited their money. So people like yourselves, Main Street middle-class millionaires who pedaled uphill, busted their knuckles, clipped coupons, acquired some wealth. Now, my goal is to provide you all with an investment management, a tax planning experience, a legal experience comparable to what was only available to the wealthiest people on the face of the earth. So we've gone about doing it. Every one of those boxes has been checked at this point. So the first way we checked the box, about 2 years ago, this was always the dream, but about 2 years ago, we said, how can we provide people with estate planning guidance or help, right? And I told Justin this off the record. I said, you wouldn't believe the number of attorneys I spoke to trying to convince them to come alongside us and help our clients. And the encyclopedia sales pitch was, how do you feel about making more money, doing less work, and doing better, higher quality work? And You wouldn't believe the number of people who are like, I don't know, it seems fishy, because it almost sounds too good to be true. So anyways, we kind of threw in the towel and we opted to work with an organization called wealth.com. Now, wealth.com is an online platform. It's AI driven. It's you answer this, we take you down this question thread. You answer a question this way, we take you down this question and answer thread. And the truth of the matter is, there's not a darn thing wrong with that for many of you watching this right now. Like if you have 2.5 kids and they all get along, you're not in a second marriage, you don't have a blended family, none of your kids have substance abuse issues, none of your kids have in-laws that you fear might become outlaws. You have a simplistic, straightforward life. Wealth.com might fit the bill. And I think Justin will be radically transparent with you and saying, yeah, just do wealth.com. The price is right. It's free. It doesn't cost you a nickel to do a will or a trust on wealth.com. Now, what are we going to do about it? We're going to keep it. Because I feel like if I rug pulled the wealth.com, I would, people would riot in the streets. If you want to continue to use wealth.com, we're going to continue to pay that retainer, and you could continue to receive complimentary estate planning documents. Now, I'm going to keep it for about a year, and then I'm going to assess if people are still yet using it, and then I might pull it. I'm ruthless about our budget. But we're going to keep it for a time. Now, why is Justin here? If wealth.com is perfectly satisfactory, why would we have Justin here? Well, because wealth.com leaves a lot to be desired. Let's face it, right? Many of you don't need to design a brand new will or a brand new trust. You just need an amendment because, your trustee is no longer in your life, or you want to change the way your assets get distributed. You don't need to design a brand new document, have it witnessed, have it notarized, live with a little fear in the back of your mind because a computer did it. So wealth.com wasn't able to do amendments. Wealth.com wasn't able to review currently in force legal work and give you a professional opinion on it. Like, so if you took a trust that was 15 years old and you put it through wealth.com's, they have like an AI tool called Esther. You put it through their AI tool, it's going to say, hey, just put a new one together. Forget about this one. Whereas Justin's going to be able to look at this professionally, go, hey, here are a couple adjustments that have changed in the probate law. You might want to tweak this or that. But most of this work is still yet perfectly satisfactory. The other thing I never felt comfortable with wealth.com was estates that had wrinkles in them. So blended families, special needs, substance abuse issues, exotic assets if you own real estate in multiple states, if you want to disinherit a kid because he's wayward. Things like that, I would always go talk to a professional. Go pay the ticket, ride the ride, go talk to someone. I personally don't feel comfortable using an online platform that's AI driven in order to populate your estate planning documents. And then finally, that last piece, I know my audience. AI is revolutionary and it's exciting. Most of y'all want to talk to a human being who's competent and capable. You don't want to go deal with a chat bot. You don't want your phone calls answered by a robot and then get transferred to an Indian call center. So we're going to keep wealth.com if that's your cup of tea. If you've had legal work done by wealth.com, it's perfectly satisfactory. Claire and I's medical powers of attorney, financial powers of attorney are wealth.com documents. It's perfectly satisfactory for us. But for those of you who have more complex estate planning needs, for those of you who are okay spending a little bit of money to have a human experience and deal with a professional, I think you're going to really like to see what Justin brings to the table. So like I said, you can see Justin's face here in the bottom left corner. I am going to stop talking here in short order because we have some frequently asked questions. I'm going to give the floor to Justin. We're going to do a podcast here in the coming weeks that unpacks, he's a family man. He plays the guitar. He likes golfing and surfing. And where'd you go to college, Justin?
At University of South Carolina.
There you go. So he's a gamecock. We'll unpack all of his personal attributes. I guess I should know that. Just goes to show you how important college is to me. but Justin's got a wealth of knowledge and experience. That's what's most important to me. Has this individual been battle tested, bearing witness to lots and lots and lots and lots of estate planning work and complex situations, and he has. So on a follow-up recording, we'll do a podcast where we talk more personal level stuff, and then also like estate planning 101. Some of you guys like, what's a will? What's a trust? Lord knows there's gobs and gobs of content out there on YouTube, which will unpack that for you, but we'll do it too. But today is more about kind of the service offering, what Justin brings to the table, and answering some questions that we'll undoubtedly have to have. So why are we doing this? Okay. Once again, this is the same exact slide we used with Lewis. Well, the benefits of partnering up with Justin is his work is now an arm's length away from our work, right? So all too often, Justin brought this up yesterday in our advisor meeting. He's in our advisor meeting talking to our advisors about, the importance of different estate planning. That's going to be a running trend, right? That's iron sharpening iron. That's an estate planning professional pouring into our advisor community. That's our advisors pouring into him as an estate planning professional. Justin's on a current email. I could send Justin at Current Financial. Boom, the email goes right to Justin. He can respond back to me very quickly. The fact that we are going to be in such close communication, nothing but good things comes out of that for you. And if you're an active client, Justin said, what I hate about the estate planning world is all too often the attorney sends you like a 10-page onboarding packet. And they go, what's your name? What's your date of birth? What's your social security number? Who's your child? What's their date of birth? So if you were to die, who do you want and you're sitting there filling out a 10-page packet. Also, dirty little secret, because I know a lot of estate planning attorneys, they take that, they give it to their paralegal. The paralegal populates it in some boilerplate software like wealth.com, and then they charge you a huge fee. Well, if you're an active client of us, well, we already know a lot of your beneficiary information. We already know a lot of that information. Not only that, we also know like your pension has a zero survivorship on it. We know you've got a beneficiary IRA that you inherited from your mom that you're doing a 10-year distribution on. We know a lot of the inner workings of your financial life that are tremendously important for Justin to be aware of. And now that we're an arm's length away, we can share that information back and forth, attorney-client privilege, of course, which he can unpack with you. But we're going to be able to share a lot of that with him so he can design your documents in a more professional way, in a streamlined way as well. No ego. This is my biggest problem with the industry, right? It drives me nuts when I email a client's estate planning attorney and I get ghosted. Or I call the client's estate planning attorney, hey, I just want to talk about Mr. and Mrs. Jones for a second. And I leave a voicemail. And maybe these people are just not good at returning calls. Maybe they're too cool for school. They don't send emails. I think it's ego. I think it's like, hey, you puny financial advisor, stay in your lane. I do the legal documents. You worry about the stocks and the bonds. I can't stand it because ego gets in the way of excellent financial planning work. So Justin, being an arm's length away, joining us at our advisor meeting, working in our office, ego dissipates, it disappears. So we can get to the truth. And the truth is, how do we design this individual's estate plan so it fits exactly what they're trying to accomplish? No phone calls that don't go unanswered, no emails that get ghosted, all under one roof. I don't even think I need to unpack that. Isn't it pretty cool that you can literally just call one number, 843-300-1182, and get your taxes done, your estate planning done, your healthcare needs met, and your investment needs met? Like, part of this is just like the Staples easy button. I tell our advisors all the time, like, I know what we do. We think our clients want to see us all the time and get together for little powwows. Many of you are like, I don't really think about you at all, Adam. Like, I just want to make sure my stuff is done. Well, we could just do your stuff now. And then if you want to get together for the little powwows, like, we're going to host those anyways. Right now I'm in the throes of a office renovation. So, it's kind of not high on my mind, but we're going to be announcing that here in short order. But all of it under one roof. No three blind mice. Again, getting back to what I said, you've got the accountant, the estate planner, the financial guy, the health insurance guy, and none of them know each other. They're like, they don't want to talk to each other because they're all like ego ridden, and it's just a gross environment. That's why I think it's so darn broken. Synchronized communication, and I'm kind of beating a dead horse with some of this stuff, but very easy to email Justin now, very easy to pick up the phone and call Justin. How about this? If we're working a unique case, say someone's got, the desire to leave money to their grandchildren, and one of their grandchildren is having some, learning disabilities or something unique. How great is it that I can pick up the phone, call Justin, and go, how would you design this? What's the optimal way? And he's going to be able to give me a little nugget of information that I probably are unaware of as a financial advisor, right? So then I could turn around and take that nugget of wisdom and then share it with our client. Iron sharpens iron. I already mentioned him being a part of our visits. That does nothing but improves our planning experience, does nothing but improve our knowledge base for our advisors, which in turn helps our clients. And then finally, this is more getting down to X's and O's and logistics. CFP is for current financial partners. We'll fund your trust, right? So if Justin designs your trust, this is the grossest thing I think in Justin's industry, and he even said it out loud yesterday, was many people design trusts and they witness them and they notarize them, but then they don't put anything in the trust. They don't retitle the brokerage account. They don't put their primary residence in a trust. So in essence, you paid thousands upon thousands of dollars for a bundle of paperwork that does nothing as it pertains to your estate and probate and how your assets get dispersed upon your demise. So in working with our firm, we can take some of the heavy lifting off of his plate because we've got all this manpower to retitle your accounts in the name of the trust. And then finally, I beat Justin up on the price point, right? And we'll go over that at greater length. This is not a free service, clearly. But I think you'll find his pricing is, especially with the partnership that we've reached, is on the lower end of what you're going to find if you go out and Google search estate plan or go to one of these little wine and will events or something like that. So I think the price point is going to be an attractive thing for many of you too. All right, so let's get to it. Let's get these frequently asked questions out of the way. And then in short order, I'm going to give the floor to y'all in the chat section to answer any of the questions that you've got. So this was a big question when we unveiled the tax preparer. Do I have to work with your estate planner? The answer is absolutely not. If you've already got your estate planning documents in good order, you don't need to go see Justin. You don't need to go in that door if you don't want to. Or maybe you have a trusted ally. My thing is, like, it's comforting to know that there's good estate planners and good tax preparers and good financial advisors out there. How naive would I be to just think that they're all bad? Right? What a terrible worldview too. So if you've got your estate planning documents in order, or you have a trusted person in your ear, by all means, continue to work with your estate planner. We're creating this additional service line not to generate revenue. You're going to see that Curran doesn't participate in any of the revenue that Justin's firm is going to generate. We get nothing from this. We're creating this in order to add value to your life, make your financial planning life more streamlined. So if you want to continue to work with your estate planner, completely up to you. You can continue to work with your estate planner. There's no, requirement for you to work with Justin. Or, hey, you visit with Justin and you're like, I just didn't gel with that guy. Like, they cut from the same cloth. That's fine, right? Don't go elsewhere. There's no requirement for you to kick Justin's tires. I think, very few of you are going to feel that way. If any of you will feel that way, but there's no requirement to be allegiant to him. Can I continue to use wealth.com? I've already said this for at least one more year. Justin, let me give you the floor so I can breathe. What is your take on these? There's wills and trusts, wealth.com, Mama Bear, LegalZoom. What are your take on these online platforms?
Yeah, couple things. I think they have their place. I think they're good for the right client. I oftentimes use the WebMD example. So last week, I'll fast forward to the end of the story. My daughter's absolutely fine, but we got a phone call from the school saying something had happened and we needed to take her to the doctor immediately. So of course we rushed to go get her. I don't jump on my phone and look at WebMD and see what the symptoms are, go into ChatGPT and see what ChatGPT says I should do about it. We took her to the Children's Hospital downtown and had a number of doctors come in and do all the things that they do to check her out. I now have peace of mind that my daughter is absolutely fine. That's something, you know, the AI answers are not going to give me. Another thing you talked about was funding the trust. I don't think those services have any kind of mechanism or follow through with funding the trust. And I assure you, for the client, that's kind of the headache, is getting the assets in the trust. And that's where I can hold your hand through the whole process. Obviously, your clients, it'll be very streamlined, but there's still going to be other assets that need to get into the trust. And I assist you in doing that. The other thing we're seeing is a lot of litigation coming from these documents. Lawyers are real good at nitpicking language. Maybe the clients, you know, had the documents drafted, they didn't have them signed and witnessed and notarized properly. Now it's an invalid document. Now we have litigation. And when an estate goes into litigation, the only people that benefit are the attorneys charging the legal fees. The estate's going to get whittled down. The legal fees are going to come out of the estate, and everybody ends up with less at the end of the day. So I think they can be the right fit for certain people, but you know, you said the same. Personally, I want to sit down with an expert and talk to them. You know, like investing, I can put my money in Robinhood, but if I have a substantial amount of money that I'm trying to save for retirement and talk about tax planning and, you know, learn things that I don't know or options that I have, I'm going to sit down with an expert and have them explain it to me.
Yeah, and it's funny, you talk about Robinhood and Vanguard, like we send people there probably more so than their national commercial campaigns send people there, right? Because, you know, you're 30 years old, you know, maybe you just need a simple will, right? Mm-hmm. Maybe you need some term insurance. Maybe you need, you know, you need Vanguard. Buy a low-cost index fund and save. But, you know, as you get closer to retirement, as you start, you know, trying to have more of a legacy and more of, you know, dictate the ultimate destination of your monies, you want to sit with a professional. So here's where our arrangement is different from Lewis, right? So can I only work with your estate planner? There's some of you who haven't seen the light yet and are not working with our firm. Like, let me just shake you. Come on, come work with us. What is it taking you? But you go like, yeah, I just got this guy up in the Northeast. I never want to leave him. We go on family vacations together. Can I just work with Justin? Can I only do the estate planning with Justin? Or, you know, your financial advisor is your son-in-law, and you wouldn't dare leave him because it would make, you know, Christmas awkward. Unlike Lewis, what we did with Lewis and Taylor and Catherine, like we said, you can't work with our tax preparer unless you're a fully onboarded client with Curran's investment management team, right? So unless you have your money with us, you can't work with our tax person. That is not going to be the arrangement with Justin, right? So if you're just an individual who listens to the radio show, likes us, but doesn't hate us, but doesn't want to work with us, you can work with Justin. Now, here's where I'm going to draw the line. We're not doing another advisor's work for them. Right. So if your expectation is to work with Justin, but you want one of our advisors to come alongside Justin with your financial plan and coordinate and collaborate and take the retirement analyzer and share the details of your life, we're not going to do that. It's not fair to us. We're not going to do another advisor's work for them. And then finally, I'll make a quick plea. Why would you want to work with an inferior financial planning product, right? I get it. Like, this is a relationship business. People elect to work with people because they're friendly and they're jovial and they're gregarious and they go to the same church. But at the end of the day, you are getting advice surrounding your life savings. And I'm going to say the quiet part out loud. I think what we're doing here is better. I think it's different. I think it's a more full service experience. I think we've compiled a group of professionals that are at a higher operational level than what a lot of financial advisors are doing. Like, a lot of financial advisors are putting pie charts together saying 60-40. That's fine if you want to continue to work in that experience, but I think what we're doing here is better. So sorry, I'll get off my soapbox. But you are able to work with Justin on a standalone basis. Our firm is just not going to do some of the heavy lifting that we would do for our clients. We're not going to be coordinating and being a part of the estate planning, design process. All right, onwards. Is it free? Is it free? Right? We had a couple people say, oh, I thought you were going to do my taxes for free. Well, free advice is the most expensive advice I ever received. Okay, so no, it's not free. I think what you'll find, it's not the cheapest, but it's also not the most expensive, right? The cheapest is wealth.com. Now, you could be the cheapest with us still. You can go to wealth.com, Mama Bear, Susie Orman will bundles, LegalZoom, what have you. That's the cheapest. And there's even some people, and God love them, like, I will never poo-poo someone who's got a little bit of gumption. There's people who are driving around town doing like, I'll put a will together in your living room. Really, really cheap. Not a darn thing wrong with that. Now, you're kind of just populating a form. They're regurgitating the form into a software and then giving you a bundle of documents. So you could get this cheaper potentially. But we have negotiated preferred pricing. So Justin took his standard rate. It's about $500 lower. And then he's doing a lot of the funding of the trust for free, which typically comes at an additional cost. I want to be crystal clear, right? Because some of you guys are going from wealth.com, which was $0. And now you're like, I think I want to work with Justin, which, is going to run you several $1,000s. None of that money is going to us. None of it's going to us. Okay. There is actually legal reasons I can't collect any money. He's a law firm, a financial planning firm, can't collect any revenue. So, if you go through the process with Justin and he quotes you a fee and you go, that's too expensive, onward. I can give you a couple other solutions. But we wouldn't have Justin on this webinar if I didn't have a tremendous amount of confidence that the end product you're going to get is of the same quality that I'd want for one of my very own. So I kind of came to the conclusion as I was, searching around for the incentive structure and the different dancing partners that I could put in place in order to make this a reality. And I said to myself, you could be the cheapest or you could be the best. You can't be both. And in my opinion, I want to be the best. I want to be the best. Now, I don't want to charge people exorbitant fees. I'm like a from the other side of the tracks kid. I don't like paying lawyers, period. But if you want to work with really capable, competent talent, you got to be willing to pay the ticket and ride the ride. So it's not free. Unless you want to use wealth.com, that's still free. But if you want to work with Justin, it's not free. And he'll be transparent with all of his fees. It's not going to be like, hey, every time. We had a client call last week, and he's like, every time I call my lawyer, he presses his red button and I get an invoice in the mail for $400. It ain't like that either. Right? So don't worry about that as well. All right. Can they review my estate plan? Anything you want to add on that, Justin, or you think I covered it well?
Yeah, no, I do everything on flat fees, so there's no surprise bills. I don't send invoices for emails and phone calls once you hire me to do your estate plan. I'd rather you call me and get your question answered than you sit out there and wonder what you're supposed to be doing.
A bunch of people having issues, it sounds like, with the sound. We are recording this, so we'll send it over to you if the sound ain't working. It's our sound is good on our end, so it could be an internet connection potentially with you. But so that's an important thing to understand. Sometimes a lawyer will say, hey, it'll be about this, and then next thing you're in the throes of it and you're getting hit with billable hours and nickels and dimes and such like that. Can they review my estate plan to see if it's worth making a change? Absolutely, yes. Yes. And this is something that I felt wealth.com left a lot to be desired, right? Justin's going to articulate here in a moment that, South Carolina has very malleable probate laws. And some of you just need to have your estate plan reviewed. Now, they're malleable, but they change. Just in the last 5 years, you could probably speak to some of the changes that have happened. But some of you just need your plan reviewed. You don't need a full-blown new kit and caboodle. can they make amendments to my estate plan already in place? That goes along with, can he review my estate? Yes. They can make amendments. Another thing wealth.com was unable to do for us. So as you could imagine, a simple amendment, might be 1/10 of the cost of getting a brand new document generated. So if Justin just needs to put a simple amendment, like maybe you need to change a beneficiary or change an executor. I don't want to overstep my my professional boundaries here, but if he just needs to make a subtle adjustment to your plan, you could go in there and for a substantially lower fee, get that change executed. Dirty little secret in the industry. Prototypically, you go visit an estate planning attorney, especially if it's the one who didn't design the trust. They go, oh goodness, this was made in another state. Oh my gosh, the law has changed dramatically. We just need to create a new one. Let's start fresh. You get hit with massive invoice, and you didn't need to do it. All you needed to do is update it with a little simple amendment. So he can do that work for you. Okay. What if I have a trust or a will? This is the most common question we see. I'm going to give it to you, Justin. What if I have a trust or a will that was designed in another state? What say you?
Yeah, you are most likely fine. As long as it's validly executed in that state. Some states have different execution requirements. But as long as it was done correctly in that state, it'll be recognized in all 50 states.
Y'all, you do not hear that very often. That is the voice of a man who is not trying to manufacture work. All too often, oh, where is it from? Oh my gosh, well, we need to redesign this. Right now, there are some instances, like I heard like Pennsylvania, if you have like a trust designed in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, there are some instances. So if he does go, you do need to redesign it. It's probably because there's like a hitch in the whole equation.
Yeah.
So if you have your legal documents already generated, but they were generated, you're one of these, one of these Yankees who moved here. I know you people. You're my people. We can, you very well might be able to just keep all that work just the way it is. But once again, good reason for you to sit down with him and, go over that. Important question. We've had two people in the chat area already ask it. Can Justin produce legal documents in other states?
No, I cannot. I'm only licensed in South Carolina, so that would require me to take another bar exam. I have no desire to take more bar exams. One was plenty. However, I am a member of basically a nationwide kind of academy, if you will, of estate planning attorneys. I have sent clients to them before. I've had some interactions with folks in this organization. Everybody I've worked with has been very competent and responsive and really seems to know what they're doing. So, instead of just Googling someone in Omaha, Nebraska, I can reach out to my network and see if there's anybody in that area where the client is, and at least kind of give them a little warmer referral than just searching for somebody on the internet.
Yeah, and of course you could use wealth.com. And then, of course, Justin could just be an advocate for you, right? So if this individual says, hey, this is what the cost is going to be, and this is what they're telling me to do, you pick up the phone, call Justin, and go, nah, that's he's left the reservation, or that's in line with industry standards. So cannot do for our friends in North Carolina, down in Georgia, Tennessee, we can't do the legal documents there. Now, what about someone sent us an email? They said that their primary residence is Florida because they don't like paying state income taxes, but they still own real estate in South Carolina. Can you come alongside that person?
Yeah, absolutely. As long as you have some sort of footprint in South Carolina, I have a number of clients that are, snowbirds and split time between here and wherever. I could definitely work with those folks. And
here's where it gets like, some people are playing checkers, we're playing chess. What if you're hemming and hawing about, hey, I got a house in Connecticut, I got a house in South Carolina, I'm determining which home I want to call my primary. Then you get Lewis in the room. Lewis is going, well, your state tax is going to be here this way. And like, he can literally start making jazz with which state would be better to call your primary as it pertains to tax, as it pertains to state law. So this is what gets me excited. I get perked up when I started talking about advanced planning like that. Where will he work? Can he come to see me up in Myrtle Beach or Bluffton? So Justin calls Charleston his home. We made him a space in our Marina Drive office. So just like Lewis and Taylor and Catherine over there on Marina Drive, Claire and I continue to own the unit right next to it, Unit 107. And we have spruced up that office specifically for Justin, right? So when our clients want to visit with Justin, they'll visit with him right over there at Marina Drive. Now, Justin also keeps an office which is walking distance to his house over in West Ashley. I'm sure he'd be glad to see you over there if you don't feel like crossing a couple rivers to come see us. And then finally, this is an important one for our friends up there in Myrtle Beach and down in Bluffton. Justin is ready, willing, and able to jump in a car and come see you up there. Now, it's not necessary for him to get in a car, drive 2 hours to just go have a cup of coffee and talk about, I have a trust designed in Maryland, right? Now, that's a 30-minute phone call. Hey, this is what you got. Send the paperwork over to us. Of course, our office will help facilitate getting the paper if you don't feel like scanning or sending. You can just drop it off at our office. We'll make sure it gets in Justin's hands and then gets back to you. But, just like our advisors, we never send an advisor to Myrtle Beach for one visit. If they go to Myrtle Beach, we kind of stack their calendar so that we make their commute up there worthwhile. The same thing would go for Justin. So we'd want to kind of pick and choose the dates. We would want to make sure his time is being utilized optimally when he is in those satellite offices, which is really for us to deal with. But just know he is willing to go to Myrtle Beach and Bluffton to see you at those satellite locations face-to-face to design your work. Okay. All right. Anything else you wanted to add on that, Justin?
No,
or anything we missed in the frequently asked questions? I know for certain we're going to get a bunch of questions asked of us.
Yeah, I think we covered it. I'm interested to see the questions from the chat.
Okay, is there a consultation fee? No, there is not, Richard. I'll answer one real quickly. All right, so this is, what I'm really, really excited about. Okay, so I wrote a new book. It's called Spend Your Money, Y'all. Don't be the wealthiest person in the cemetery. You might have heard me carnival bark that before. So the book is already written. It's got to get through compliance and all of that rigmarole, but the book is written. And this is not the title. This title was created by AI in about 2 seconds. By the way, I want to literally plant my flag real quickly. The amount of AI adoption happening in my industry amongst my friends would shock you, right? I have a good friend who has AI answering his phones. I have another advisor buddy who has AI handling all of its intake from client inquiries. I just want you to know, I will never do that. And I don't care if the futurists amongst us go, well, Adam, you're going to be the last person selling CDs in the shopping mall. Good. I miss shopping malls. I like shopping malls. I long for the days they're no longer like, old dusty, war zones, or what are they called? The old West ghost towns, right? You go to a mall and you're like, what's going on here? There's a hospital in here and a gym. So while we use AI and we look at it as an interesting tool, we will never outsource the human experience that our company provides. Okay. So just want to say that out loud. We did use AI to create this little simple book cover though. And you'll notice the two kids are sharing the same ice cream cone. So there's also a sailboat in a tidal creek. Anyone who's been on a boat before knows darn well you don't want a sailboat in a tidal creek. But anyways, long story short. Oh, and they spelt cemetery incorrectly. Victoria, thank you. Thank you. Although that was probably human error. There's always a teacher amongst us, picking, finding the word spelling incorrectly. Thank you. I'll blame AI on that, even though it was probably my fault. So we wrote this book, and the premise of the book is spend your money. Spend your money. At this season of my career, I've spoken to thousands upon thousands of people, and I've bore witness to what I think is a quality retirement. I've bore witness to people who are picking at their money and arguing with their spouse about going out to dinner and not living abundantly. And I just want to motivate people to create experiences, be more generous, buy plastic crap, spend your money, right? So some of you, though, when you hear that, you go, well, what about my kids? Right? Scripture says a wise man leaves money to his children's children. Well, the average life of an inheritance in this country is 7 months. What's taken you your entire life to accumulate and build up what you've stewarded well for 40 years? Your spoiled, rotten kids and your idiot in-laws will blow through in 7 months. That's a joke, y'all. Because they're going to take it and pay off debt. They're going to take it and maybe buy a vacation home. I don't know what they're going to do with it, but they're going to blow through it really fast. Okay. And not to mention your wealth gets divided amongst, the number of beneficiaries you have. So it might be dividing amongst four kids in my case. But in my opinion, that's not leaving a legacy. Having your money distributed to your kids so they can spend it in 7 months is not a lasting legacy, in my opinion. So we're going to be working very closely with Justin on designing what we're calling lasting legacy accounts. Now, this is a way in which you can pass your money to your children, to your grandchildren, to charities in a way where they get a check every single month or once a year that lasts the rest of their life, or for a period of time, or the money can only be utilized for the purchase of a house or college or medical expenses. So with Justin being an arm's length away from us now, we can start designing legacy plans that accomplish what most of you want. I know it's what I want. I'm busting my hump, working my tail off, being smart with my money. I don't want it to just get distributed in a flashbang way and then there not be any long, maybe it's just vanity. Maybe I want my kids to think and talk about me long after I'm gone. But in my opinion, that's leaving a true legacy, a long-term income stream that provides surety and protection. Now, I'll also say we also talk about in the book, like, just the whole idea of inheritance is in and of itself kind of idiotic. You live a long time and then die and then give your 60 or 70-year-old kids your money. Your kids don't need money if they're 60 or 70. If they do need money, then chances are like they weren't very good with money and they shouldn't even have their hands on money. So the idea of an inheritance in and of itself is kind of foolish. So the book has chapters on why you should do your giving while you're living so you're knowing where it's going. Give your money to your kids when they need it, when they're trying to buy a house, when they're paying for daycare like it's a second mortgage, when they want to start a business. They need money when they're in that season of life, not when they're 70 or they're 80 and you kick the bucket at age 100, like many of you are going to be centenarians. So what I'm most excited about, you'll get more news on this book here in the coming months. It's already written, should take a month or two to get through compliance and all that. But there's a whole chapter on these lasting legacy accounts that I think Justin's going to be integral in creating. And if there's a will, there's a way. The world is your oyster. You can create these things to leave the legacy you so chose. Benjamin Franklin is like a hero of mine. My first born son is named Ben. I don't know if you can do this, Justin. Maybe you could chime in on it. But when he died, I think he invested like $100 to be given to the city of Philadelphia and the city of Boston. What was it, like 200 years later or something? And it grew to like $1 million or something like that. You ever hear that one?
Yeah.
You can do something like that, which, that's a legacy. That's an interesting way to design your estate. All right. Anything on that, Justin? Anything you want to chime in on these lasting legacy accounts?
Yeah, I'm really excited about the idea. I think when the IRA distribution rules changed, it kind of threw people for a loop, thinking their kids were going to get to stretch that money for the rest of their lives. And now, not so much. You get 10 years and you get taxed a lot more. There's actually been a change in the law in South Carolina. I won't get into the weeds about it, but the trust now can continue for multiple generations. So it really is a way to leave a legacy for future generations, more so than just your kids and grandkids if you want.
Really cool. Yeah, good point on the IRA thing. Mike and Colin brought up a good point in our advisor meeting. They were like, we can actually fund these things with RMDs So you're basically taking IRA dollars and funding the legacy account. So the money goes essentially from the IRA while you're alive. There's tax implications to all this too. So anyways, keep your eyes peeled for the book that's coming out, and pay close attention to the chapter on lasting legacy accounts. I think it's going to scratch many of your estate distribution itches. Okay, let's hit some questions from the audience. It seems like most of the audience questions were, I can't hear you, will this be recorded? I'm going to start us off while you guys type up some questions. I had a client ask me, they said, Justin, I heard, of course, if you have a non-qualified brokerage account or a bank account, some people make the mistake of actually putting their child on as joint owner, or they'll even put their child on their deed of their house. That's bad planning. You should not do that. But with a non-qualified brokerage account or a bank account, you could use what's called a POD or a TOD, a payable on death or a transfer on death. What this client wanted to know, is there a similar document in South Carolina for one's primary residence?
No. They're probably referring, some states have, I've heard them called ladybird deeds. They have a couple different names, but some states do allow you to put essentially a beneficiary on your deed without giving up any of your right to sell your house and own the equity and that kind of thing. But South Carolina does not have that.
Okay. So the workaround or the optimal way to keep your home out of probate would be?
Trust. Would be the easiest way to keep the real estate out of probate.
So you put your home in a trust. When you put your home in a trust, you get a little letter from the county tax assessor, and they go, hey, is this still your primary residence? Or I think they don't even give you a letter. They just try to up your taxes, don't they?
Yeah, I actually had a client email me at like 4:30 yesterday. She got something from the assessor. She's like, I guess my taxes are going up. I'm going to go down to the courthouse tomorrow. This lady is type A and on top of things. I was like, oh, slow down. I told you this was going to come. You just have to reapply for your 4%. And then it'll say we need your entire trust. They don't. They need one page out of your trust. So I can send you the one page they need along with the signed certificate of trust. You turn that in with the other things that they ask for, and your taxes stay right where they are. You keep your homestead exemption. And no changes like that.
Yeah, the number of people who I've seen get work done from other estate planners and just like they just took that on the chin without any sort of guidance is, it's enough to trouble you.
I warn people that's going to happen, and I say when you get the letter about your taxes going up, just remember they're not. Justin told me to call him when I get it.
Got it. Okay. Let me go through the questions. Ballpark fee range. This is what people are going to want to know. So let's get it all out there. Why don't you share that with us?
Yeah. So I do everything on flat fees, like I said. For an individual will, so I'd say there's kind of two routes: a will package and a trust package. The will package is a will, durable power of attorney for finances, healthcare power of attorney for your medical decisions, and a living will, which has a lot of different names, but a lot of people know it as the pull the plug document. For an individual, I charge $800. For a married couple, it's $1,500. For the trust package, it's all those same documents. Even when you do a trust, you do what's called a pour over will. That's kind of a safety net for the trust. There's some other ancillary documents that go along with the trust. But after the discount for current clients, I charge $3,000 for an individual trust and $5,000 for the married trust. And then generally a quick claim deed is a few $100, but I'll do the deeds free of charge for current.
Yeah, and I was picking on Justin. I was like, dude, you ought to charge more for these irrevocable lasting legacy provisions within the trust, because prototypically estate planners will charge big bucks if you want to, quote unquote, have a trust fund baby. Getting back to one of those early slides I had where I said, my goal has always been to provide a high level of financial care for middle-class millionaires. Everyone's heard the word trust fund baby, and usually it's said in a, negative light. But what a trust fund baby is an individual whose, heir put together an irrevocable trust that gives them income from a pool of money for the rest of their life, right? So you can have trust fund babies, even though they might not be getting hundreds of thousands of dollars per year. What if they're getting, $30,000 a year or $10,000 a year? That's still a meaningful amount of money that, 20 years when you're in your grave and they're continuing to collect income from a pool of money. That's powerful, y'all. That's leaving a legacy, in my opinion. Okay, so someone said, will current clients get priority? You know, I'm a capitalist pig. Yes. But you know, it is an option that other people can plug into if they want to work with Justin. Okay. Okay, so weren't transferred. Okay, so this is a question. I don't know if it's private. So doing trust give you the will as well. Yeah, so if you get a trust, you get a will as well.
Yep.
Okay, this is a question. We found out as trustee that if assets are transferred, you're, excuse my language, you're screwed. In our case, something weren't transferred and some were. Guess what part of the estate thus ended up in probate court? It got real confusing. Go ahead with that one.
Yeah, that's funding the trust. So again, if you pay me to do a trust and I just give you papers and say, okay, make sure you put your stuff in the trust, if you don't put anything in your trust, it's going through probate. The idea is the trust either owns the asset or is the beneficiary of the asset. That way, when you pass away, the trust does not die. Probate does not have to come in and clear the title and figure out where it's supposed to go. I've had a number of clients over the years come to me, they did a trust a long time ago somewhere else, and a car is the most common example. They didn't put the car in the trust. So we end up having to open up a probate just for a car. Normally that's pretty simple, but I've even had a couple of those drawn out for different reasons. But yeah, one of the most important things of doing the trust is getting your assets in the trust so that the trust is keeping you out of probate and then doing all the other things that the trust do.
Isn't that funny? Cars are almost always the okay. Can Justin act as an executor for an estate?
No, I do not serve in that capacity.
Yeah, so we've actually had some conversations, nor can we, by the way, right? So as your financial advisor, we're actually not allowed to be executor. So optimally, you find a family member who is trustworthy, or even a friend who is trustworthy. If you are unable to find both of those things, there are corporate trustees. We actually just had a conversation with, Charleston's probably 800-pound gorilla corporate trustee who we could introduce you to, who can act in kind of an agnostic fashion. All right, my wife and I are moving from Maryland to South Carolina. What if we want our will created by a Maryland firm updated to South Carolina? Can you give me an approximate cost for that effort? If you can't give me a specific cost because the devil is in the details, can you give me a cost range? Also, is a trust always the best way to go? Our current will is not a trust. So we got a guy in Maryland. He's got a trust. He's got a will designed. How do you update that into South Carolina? Is a trust always the best thing to do?
A couple of questions. The lawyer in me says it depends. As far as the fee goes, it kind of depends if we're just updating the will or if you need to redo everything. And then price range. I mean, if it's something simple, I would usually do like an hourly fee. If we're redoing the whole thing, then it would be the will package that I talked about. Is a trust always better? I'm going to say yes, but there are plenty of instances where a trust could kind of be overkill for a client. And I'll be, very honest with you. If you come in and I've talked clients out of doing trust because they heard they had to do a trust for whatever reason, and we go through their estate and to accomplish what they're trying to accomplish. Trust isn't really necessary. It's never going to hurt you. It's always going to keep whatever's in the trust out of probate, and there's lots of other advantages to doing a trust. So I would say it's generally better, but it's not always. Sometimes it might be a little bit overkill for what you're trying to do.
Yeah, you said something great in our advisor meeting that had all of our advisors breathe a sigh of relief. A trust is not always better as the beneficiary on an IRA. In fact, it's not advisable.
Yeah, generally not.
And the crazy thing is, and all of our advisors kind of sang in unison. We're like, all too often individuals put together a trust, and the estate planning attorney, like a bulldog or a bulldozer, goes, put this as your beneficiary on all of your accounts. And here I am, like the advisor, I'm like, you shouldn't do that. And then the client's like, oh, I just paid all this money for this. I'm using it. And the attorney said it. The attorneys went to school longer than you, Adam. The attorney has no understanding of how investment accounts get dispersed upon someone's demise. So that's really, really, really bad advice. You don't want to trust as your beneficiary on an IRA, unless it's a special needs trust, unless it's a trust with teeth in it that controls your money beyond the grave. In those cases, maybe you do want that. Okay, Michael says, open up a real estate office. No way. No way. I've bought and sold a lot of real estate. It's an emotional transaction. Not to mention, we have a lot of clients. I like all of my clients the same. We have a lot of clients that are real estate agents, and I don't know which one to pick from. Yeah, it's too emotional. I was late joining. Will we discuss? So Lori, we are going to do a follow-up like estate planning 101. If you already mentioned it, but Justin's fees be deducted from our account with current. I don't think that's possible. We could probably pay him directly, probably with some distribution, but we can't just deduct it right from the account. But we probably could distribute it, which I'll get with you on that one. There's probably a way you can do that. Because remember, we have completely different P&L statements. There's no money from Justin services that are going towards our P&L. It took you a long time to find Justin. How is he going to be able to handle the large volume of new work and still provide quality work for all of us? Well, that's a good question. I think we're pretty measured with this. If his doors get beat down and the work suffers, I'm the throat to choke. And you should all remember that, right? Anything that comes out of our office, my life has changed. I used to sit at the planning table all day long and tell people how much they should take from their IRAs. Now I'm basically becoming a human resources director. If anything goes wrong, if you ever feel like our planning experience doesn't live up to your expectation, I'm the throat to choke. Okay, so just know that if you're going through any of our processes and you say this isn't up to the standard I deserve, just call me up and I'll get clear with it. Will assets in a trust be protected against a lawsuit? Let's hit that quickly.
Yeah, great question.
Anything but quick, though. That's actually a really long-winded.
Yeah, common misconception. So generally when people are setting up a trust, it's what's called a revocable living trust. And the revocable is the key word there. It means you still have full control over your assets. You can do whatever you want with them. You can buy, sell, trade, give away. It's not a taxable entity. And because you have full control over it and you can reach in and take money and go buy groceries and do whatever, it does not shield the person that set the trust up from lawsuits. Now, when they pass away and the money goes to, let's say we're leaving it to the kids, at that point, it's an irrevocable trust because mom and dad set it up. Mom and dad are the only people that can change it. They're no longer around. At that point, it becomes an irrevocable trust. So it does have lawsuit protections and divorce protections for the beneficiaries of the trust, but not for the people that set it up.
Okay, I'm going to do like 3 more questions because we're coming up on that hour. Can you leave all of what would leave in a will to individuals to your trust and then have the trust dole out the money? Yes, I mean, the trust would be the first instrument, right? But
I would say that when you do the trust, the idea is everything is in the trust. The trust says who gets what and how they get it. If something's not in the trust and you pass away and it has to go to probate, that's when the will comes into play. So whenever we sign the will, I would say, hopefully this is the last time you'll ever see this. You'll never need it, but it's here just in case. So it's just kind of a safety net there in case something gets left out. At the end of the day, everything does get back into the trust.
Okay, so this is, again, like kind of on a priority. Do current clients get something that other people don't? I believe you said clients get priority, but does it make a difference how much you have invested with current? No, it doesn't. No. Do fees change or excess priority change based on amount of funds invested? No. So again, Justin maintains his own independent business to mine. There's no money exchanging paths. Now, getting back to the other question too, the reason that we are saying, hey, if you're a potential client or a prospect, why are we to allow you to have access to Justin? Because the hope is you go through that planning experience and then you go, hey, why not work with these current guys? They're, an arm's length away from Justin. So there could be opportunities for us to win business that way, to give you a full peek behind the curtain. But Justin's business in and of itself is inherently more transactional, right? Whereas Lewis in the tax preparation business is a little bit more relational, right? Like every year you need to see him. Every summer you want to do some planning with him. Oftentimes, Justin's clients might not see him but like once every 5 years or something. So he puts a trust together for you. You're on your way. Like you're good to go for a while. Now, the cool thing about him being an arm's length away from us, if we're sitting in a planning visit and you go, yeah, I sold that property down in Florida, or, my daughter is going through an ugly divorce, or, my son is, God forbid, back on the bottle. We know in our head, we can go, oh, this is stuff you might want to address with Justin in your estate planning documents. And boom, one quick email, one quick phone call, we'll bump into an advisor meeting. Hey, give this person a call. They might want to adjust their plans. But I don't think there's going to be a service issue because it's more transactional in nature. Now, if you're a prospect and we have 30 people who want to talk to Justin, your name's going to be on the bottom of the list. We're going to put our current clients ahead of you, but you'll get a call in due time. All right. Will a trust protect against, special needs? Quickly on special needs trusts, not just for kids with, special needs or disabilities. It could be for other use cases as well, right?
Yeah, I mean, special needs trusts, a lot of people think they need a special needs trust and they don't necessarily, but the special needs trusts are really designed for beneficiaries that are on some sort of government means-based assistance programs, where if they inherit more than a certain amount of money, or if they have more than a certain amount of money in their checking account, it gets docked, or they get kicked off the programs that they're on. With the special needs trust, they're usually built into the revocable trust. So mom and dad have the trust, they passed away, and let's say Timmy is a special needs kid. Timmy's money is in a special needs trust. It just has different distribution standards. So you can put as much money as you want in those things. It will not affect any benefits or services that getting that are otherwise provided for by the government.
Okay. Do 401ks, Roth accounts go through probate? Not if you have your beneficiaries designed properly, right?
Good.
Beneficiary designations, TOD arrangements supersede that of probate. Big price. Why is there a big price difference between a single and a married couple is a question we've got. And this will be the last one.
I'm doing twice as many documents.
Yeah. So there's no such thing as a joint will, right? So you can't have a joint medical power of attorney, a joint financial powers of attorney. So you're getting twice as much work that needs to be populated. Okay. So that's it. I'm not going to answer anymore. You can address. Let's see. Gosh, I'm going to get sucked into these questions. I'm sorry, y'all. We hit them for a little bit. I wanted to keep the presentation around an hour. So we'll have Justin reach out to anyone who's asked a question that wasn't addressed. We'll have Justin reach out to you directly, and you can answer it in a real pointed, personal way. If you're interested in having a free consultation, having your work reviewed, actually getting a trust designed, email our office, call our office, literally just comment in the chat area, go, I'm interested. I think there's a way you can comment privately too. So if you don't want your name out there, I've seen you do it. I don't know how to do it, but you can just kind of comment and our office will queue you up. Here's what that looks like. The first interaction with Justin is just going to be a quick 30-minute phone call. Yesterday, he's like, Adam, I want to see these people face to face. And I was like, Justin, you're going to have a lot of people call you, and some of these people you don't need to see face to face. Some of them you just need to go, hey, you just need to fund the trust, come on in. And some of you need to see Justin like your hair is on fire. So the first interaction is just a quick phone call. How are you? What do you got going on? Let's coordinate calendars so I can see you face to face. And some of you might just have a quick question answered. Hey, I got this will done. What do I do with it? Just keep it where it is. So we want to be as economical as possible with his time, your time, not make you fight traffic and cross bridges to come see someone to, talk about the weather. So we'll queue you up for a quick phone call with him, and then y'all can take it from there. I'm going to say one last thing. I'm going to get inspirational with you guys real quickly. I'm sorry. I'm sappy. We were doing our 2026 planning, strategic planning as a firm. And one of the processes that I go through is, you kind of look back what you were and what you've become. You look up, you thank God, you express gratitude, you praise all that you've been given. And then you look forward and you go, okay, what's next? And one of the things that I have always been really good about is writing my goals down. And I'm going to encourage you all to do the same thing. Retirement is not the finish line. Some of you are retired. You still have incredible goals that you need to accomplish. Now, they might change. They might not be professional goals. They might be, books read or languages learned or musical instruments played, or a handicaps reduced. That's golf handicaps, or travel arrangements, right? So I don't know what they are, but write them down. And I'm going to tell you why. I started writing my goals down, if you could believe it. This is our 15th anniversary here in Charleston, but my company basically has been around for 20 years because I started in Utah. So I started writing these goals down 20 years ago. And I would say, in this year, I want to achieve this much assets under management. And this year, I want to achieve this many families served. And this year, I want to hire this many people, and yada, yada, yada. I swear, I looked back over the last 20 years, and to a T, the goals that I wrote down and the timelines I assigned them came to fruition. They came to fruition. So I can't help but just share with you all, write your goals down. Here's our little rinky-dink office over on James Island. I slept in the back. It was the dress code was pajama, casual, business, casual, right? Like I would literally wake up, come in the front, sometimes wearing my pajamas. I'd look down at the clock. It'd be 5 o'clock. I'd go, holy cow, what happened? Right. And even then we had goals. It was like, okay, get out of this crummy office and move to a slightly better office. This podcast, I got interviewed on a podcast about 3 or 4 years ago, and I'm listening to the podcast. I'm like, well, I wonder what I was saying 3 or 4 years ago. Guess what I was saying? I aspire to have an office that has a professional estate planner who can give people high-end estate planning advice. I aspire to have an office that has the ability to come alongside our clients and prepare their taxes for them. I aspire to have a beautiful office that when people walk in, they go, wow, this is an impressive office, and renovating the first floor. So I say this not as a flex or as a, in a bragging way, but if you write your goals down, if you express gratitude, if you reflect back on all you've accomplished, it's amazing how God bestows blessings upon you. So thank you all so much. I appreciate you all. Justin, looking at the chat section, your work is going to be cut out for you. You're going to be a busy man over the next few days. And we promise we'll get back to each and every one of you. Thank you all so much for joining us, and we'll be in touch here shortly. Okay, Justin, thank you, my friend. We'll be in touch.
All right. Sounds great. Thank you.